We're going to delete it. Alright. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for sticking with me. I am gonna go through this again. And we're gonna build a new world map for you guys. How's that? Oh man, I feel like a dumb idiot. Alright, so that means that my whole intro also probably didn't get held. So we're gonna build up stuff in Foundry. Now I talked about a bunch of reasons why I wanted to use Foundry over Roll20. The gist of it was Roll20 was getting kind of bloated, and they weren't working on features and updates that I was interested in and wanted them to do. And then Foundry came out and had all of those features that I wanted. So I downloaded Foundry. I got a little overwhelmed to start because Foundry is a little more complicated than Roll20 is, especially since it requires you to host it. So you have to have either you have to host it yourself on a computer, which requires you to have some hosting knowledge and things for you to you have to set up on your computer and have the knowledge to do web hosting and things like that, and not a lot of people know how to do that. Then you can either do it on your home computer or you can rent a server and do it like that. But then I use the website forge-vtt.com, and they host Foundry for you. So you get an account set up with them, you give them your license that shows that you're allowed to use Foundry, and it sets everything up for you, and you're good to go. You can then invite people to your games using a single URL, just like you do in Roll20. Makes the players real easily to hop into your game. Then your players just have to learn how to click around on Foundry. So, that's a different tutorial series. We're going to be just working on building stuff inside of Foundry today. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do what they call scenes, which are the actual maps. So, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to build a world map. So I have the Sword Coast revised map. I call it revised final. I believe I did a little bit of resizing for it or something, or tweaking it to get it to what it was. So we're going to do that. And we need to get the dimensions of the actual image. This is something I'm a little frustrated with because every single computer in the world can tell how big an image is. And if I really think that when you click this, and click select, this should automatically be set to the dimensions of whatever image you select. The fact that you have to manually type it in, which I get why they let you manually size it, because there is value to that. But to start out, you don't have to resize everything. It should just go to the default. So for me, I'm gonna pop back in here, and I believe it was the sword was what I searched to find the name of, or to find that image. There it is. We have a 2649 and 3800. 2649, 3800. There you go. Done. Padding percentage, just put some padding. I like to set the background color to black. Makes it easier to see the border. Plus, everything's dark mode nowadays. You just want it to be dark. So, for the grid configuration for this map, I like to go gridless for my world maps, and you'll see why in a second. We'll keep this at default because I have to show you the map before I explain it. Token vision, if you turn that off, that means everybody can see the map even if they don't have a token on it. For a world map, that's what you want. You want everybody to be able to see the map. Unless you're creating a world map where you want them to explore hex by hex, then you might want to set up token vision. And I'm not going to show that specific type of world map to you. Maybe I can in a bit. Because I do that for Tomb of Annihilation, and I can show you how that's set up. Global illumination would be to turn the lights on for everything. But since we turned off token vision, the rest of these actually don't matter, but I just turn them all off. Darkness level. This is a little weird. This is really good for dungeons, and it basically sets how dark the map is. See how it, like, as I change that slider, it makes things darker. For a world map, we want it bright as possible. Global illumination threshold. I'm actually not entirely sure what this does. This might have something to do with where you can turn day and night on the map. So that's something I will have to mess around with in the future. Journal notes, you can tie a journal to any map, so journals are basically, they're just text boxes. Audio playlists, you can set an audio playlist to automatically play once this map gets loaded. That's kind of cool. Weather effects, you can load up weather effects. Foundry has autumn leaves, rain, and snow built in, and you can actually get more of these with add-ons. And then the initial view position, you could set this to whatever you want. If you, capture current view, so you can actually set it. You can set it to, like, the middle of the map there, and boom, there you go. Oh, I guess you can even set a custom zoom, too. I don't mess with this, I just leave it like that. Boom. Alright, here's the map. So, you've got a map. That's great. But the problem with the map right now is it's not very useful. Because, let's say your players are at Boulder's Gate, and they want to get to Dragon Spear. Well, how far is that? Oh, it's only 31 feet. 32 feet. That's the wrong scale. For sure, wrong scale. So, we're going to open this back up. And we need to figure out what the grid size we want to set, and then the grid scale. So basically, how many pixels per unit do we want to have? So luckily, I have all that math I did from the before time. So we measured Boulder's Gate to Dragon Spear, and we estimated we wanted it to be about 72 miles. We got that number by it being 3 days of travel at a normal pace of 24 miles per day. You get 72 miles. I understand that I think the actual scale is closer to like 300 miles, but we're just going to use this as an example. So 72 miles. Then we needed to measure the pixels, the actual pixels between this place and this place. So we opened up the map in an image editor, and we had to measure the difference, and then we used a little bit of trigonometry there. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and we got the c out of that. And that's how I calculated this. So this is how many this is how many the square of the pixel and the square of the pixel. Then we square root that whole thing, and we got 628 pixels between Dragon Spear and Boulder's Gate. So we just type those in. So we want, there's 628 pixels. Oops, that's not 628 pixels for 72 miles. Now, you can do this for, you can do that for any two locations on your map. So, probably a better one we could have used, actually, now that I see it, because Ethereal and Boulder's Gate are pretty much on the same plane. So let's just measure that. We don't have to do too much fancy trigonometry there, because it's 450 pixels away. A little bit, it might be 452, but we're just going to do, let's do that. Let's do 450 pixels, and let's say between Boulder's Gate and Ethereal, we want it to be 2 days of travel. So that would be 24 times 2 would be 48 miles. So you can measure any two measurements, do that. Measure the pixels, figure out how many days of travel or what the distance you want between those two locations. Just plug that in, and you, bam, once that's set up, you will now have the map be scaled to that scale for everything. So there you go. 48 miles. Now you can measure any two objects, and the scale will be... Ooh, whoa. Wow, that scrolls fast. Let's zoom out a bit so we don't do that. Yeah, so now we can go to Dragon Spear here, which is... So I estimated this was going to be 72 miles. With this scale, we got it at 68 miles. But, like, does it really matter? Like, as long as you get a scale and it's reasonable, you can simulate your travel. So this could be 3 days of travel. Cool thing with when you're using this map, if you want to measure between 2 points also, let's say you wanted to travel along, instead of go from, your players aren't going to go straight to Ethereal. They're going to follow the road probably. So, oops. There we go. So you can measure, and if you hold shift, no, is it shift or control? Yeah, it's control. So if you hold control and then click, you make a waypoint. Make a waypoint. So now, that's a 50 miles of travel to get to there. And then if you wanted to continue on to get to Scornabel, there we go, 72 miles to get to Scornabel. So, that's how I do the world map. You get that scale going. You get it so there's no grid, nice and clean. Eventually, you maybe want to put a token on the map. I'm going to cover making tokens a little bit later, and maybe we can come back to this map and put a token on it. But that's how I would scale this map. So let's say that's a world map. Now let's zoom in. If you get into a combat along the way, we're going to build a combat map for this. So we're going to create a new scene. We're going to call this the Crossroads Battle Map. So, for the Crossroads Battle Map, I've loaded a map that I have over here. Let's go back here. If I type... So I like the neutral party maps. They're always a good map to have. So I have this forked road map here. So let's have that just for us here. I already have it imported. So... Forked road, A, B, C, D, E, F. I know there we go. Forked road. Now for the forked road, we have 3885 and 3885 for the size. And neutral party maps tend to be either 25 by 25 or 30 by 30 for the grid. So, what we need to do to figure out the grid scale, and this is what I was doing just before, and there was a small problem with it, so I was going to try to figure out how to fix that. But it turned out to be 128 pixels for every 5 feet. So the one we're using, if you notice here, already has the grid lines in place. So we are going to turn off grid opacity because we just don't want to see the grids. But actually, in this case, I'm going to keep them on because I want to show you what's going on. Token vision you want on. Global illumination, we're going to turn global illumination on because it's a battle map outside and it'll be during the day or night, and we'll show you a cool feature with Foundry that lets you do day or night. And we're going to turn off fog exploration because it's not about exploring this map, it's just about having a combat on it. So we're going to hit that, hit save, hit yes, and then so a cool feature up here that I didn't need to explain is every time you put a scene up, it can add it to this scene navigation bar at the top. And as you build scenes out, it's going to start filling in. You can, if you build way more scenes, like it'll start filling up and it can get pretty chunky. You can always toggle it to hide it, basically. You'll have every scene inside of over here, but then you can only have the ones that, let's say you're prepping a session, you know you're only going to need like 5 maps. You could just go ahead and turn off all the other maps and have the other 5 maps already ready for you to go up there. I personally tend to have everything up there. I don't go too big so far, but I could see myself as I use maps and don't think I'm going to go back to them anytime soon, I would just start taking them off the navigation bar to keep it clean. So we're going to go ahead and move over to the Crossroads. All right, so this is what I wanted to show you. So our scale is slightly off. So the thicker line is the line that's drawn on the actual map itself, and this thinner line is the one that Foundry is drawing based on the scale I gave it. So we're slightly off on the scale. Now I'm going to show you a cool tool, and I only discovered this recently. Next to the grid type, there's this little box here. You want to click that. This is the grid configuration tool. So what this lets you do is start tweaking it. Also, this image scale, if you hold shift mouse wheel up and down, you can actually tweak the scale of the map, but this is actually tweaking it by way too much. I think we need to kind of start tweaking this. Oops, didn't mean to complete it. So 129 seems really close, but It's not big enough. 130? And now 130 seems too big. So it really is 129.5. So what we're going to do, and this is a little bit of the weakest, we're actually going to tweak this by a few pixels. So we can, oops. What happened? Okay, didn't know what that was. So we can move the map with the arrow keys and line things up. And we can get it to good enough. I think this problem is not the problem with Foundry so much as it is a problem with the map that I picked. I don't know why the map maker picked a scale of 3,885 for the map. So you know what I actually could do is we could resize it. And I've done this for maps before, and that's what we're gonna do. So if we want the grid scale to be 30 by 30. So 30 squares, and if we want each square to be 130 pixels, that means we need to resize it to be 3,900 pixels by 3,900 pixels. So I'm just going to 3,900. Hit the scale. Whoa. Wait, yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to save this as forked road. I usually call it, like, fixed. This is going to... So I resize this now. So now each... And we're going to have to re-import this map. So, let's re-import it. So we're going to reuse our fixed version. If you scroll through my maps, there's not too many, but I do have quite a few where it's called forked road fix. Or, like, it has the word fixed at the end of it. So now we know this is 3,900 by 3,900. And it's 130. Now this should just boom. Yeah, there you go. Now the grids align perfectly. So I had to resize the image a little bit. No big deal. So now we have a world map and a battle map. Now this is cool too. I don't know if this is just a Foundry thing, but it shows you the little preview for the map that you're making. They almost always look really neat, and they look cool. And this will grow. You can also create folders in here so if you want to start organizing it a little bit better. Once you're like putting more and more maps inside. So that's the Crossroads Battle Map. Now I'm gonna show you. We're gonna do lighting. We're gonna do one more scene. We're gonna do kind of like a mini dungeon scene. So let's see if I can find. Ooh, a sewer tunnel would probably be a good. Ooh, this would be a good one to do. Did he size this one well? This one looks sized better. Alright, so unfortunately though, we do have to probably count the boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. It's 30 by 1. It's 30 by 25. Cool. So we're going to make this little dungeon here. Let's say they explore the sewers of Dragonspear when they get there. And they have to hunt down some creature inside. So, where's my tabletop? There we go. Create a new scene. We're going to call this Dragonspear Sewers. Alright, we're going to upload the new map. This was the sewer tunnels. We did the lit version. We're going to do the gridded version. Cool. Uploaded. So There it is, sewer tunnels. Select. So what was the dimensions of this? It's 3330. 3330 by 2775. So 3330 is the width, which means 3330 divided by 30 is 111. So again, these maps are a little weirdly scaled, but this should work out perfectly, hopefully. Grid size is 111. So if we hit save, yes, go to it. All right, cool. So the grid lines are perfectly aligned, perfect. So we're good here. So in a dungeon, though, and the difference, this is one that you will want to have for exploration reasons. We're going to have token vision turned on. We're going to turn off global illumination, and we're going to keep the fog exploration turned on. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to increase this darkness level. I keep it to 0.5 in areas that are supposed to be dark. So just so there's a visual difference between the light and dark, mostly for you as the DM, because it'll make the light sources and maybe the players' torches and their cones of vision a little bit easier for you to discern. So you can hit save there. Now we're going to start drawing walls. Now, if you've never messed with Roll20's lighting system, this might all be new to you. But on this map, we're actually going to create... No, well, yeah, actually, we should create a token. So we're just going to create a test. We're going to just do a test player. And I'm going to bring in one of my tokens I use for test player. Oh, shoot, I don't remember what this is. Scroll through this. So these are all the... I use these type of tokens for my game. So let's grab... Let's make this guy our test guy. It's just some dude. Alright, cool. I'll show you how to create this stuff, and I'm just setting it up so I'll be able to test it and show you guys. So he's got vision checked. He has, we're going to give him 60 feet of dark vision. He's an elf. Update, not a sign. Boom. So he's going to be our little test guy. We'll use him in a minute. So, for the walls, you have a bunch of different types of walls you can build. And what this is doing is it's telling, it's going to tell Foundry where the boundaries of your map are. And it's actually pretty easy. So this lets you snap and not snap to the grid. So for a map like this, it's actually pretty cool because this map is pretty much along the grid. There's going to be some parts where we're going to have to go off the grid, but I'll show you how to handle that too. So to draw a line, you just click from one place to the next. If you want to continue a line that already exists, you hold Control, click, and drag, and then you can keep and every time you put a new one, it'll start another one. Go down there, end it there, and you just kind of trace the map. Like this. And you can go this. See how when it snaps, you can kind of go fast? I love these types of maps because I'm lazy. So we can just kind of go around the map, do this, and just do this for all these walls. I'm just going to do this for... Okay, so here's one that's going to be kind of off the grid. It's got this cool little... It's got this neat little alcove here. So you don't want to pull it all the way to here because it won't look right because the map's not drawn that way. So what you want to do is you want to turn off snap. Then you can click and drag. Ooh, why is there two? That's interesting. You can click and drag, and now I can place this dot basically anywhere. So what I want to do is I want to draw it to there. Then I can hold Control, click again, do that. Then I want to turn snapping back on because the next one I want to snap. So now we're back to snapping and it's easy again. Don't worry, I'll do that again because I'm sure there's going to be another point on this map where I'm going to have to. Zoom out a bit so maybe it's a little easier for me to... Okay, we're going to do something kind of maybe interesting here. No, we're gonna... Never mind. I was thinking I could do something there, but the map's not drawn in a way that would condone or make that useful. Alright, so there. This is, so, I love this. This is something I love doing. I can just sit here, if I have like a few maps to set up, just turn on some of my favorite music, jam out, while I draw on the map with these lines. It's almost like it's like the same pleasure you get out of like filling a color by number, or one of those watercolor things you can buy from Michaels or something. All right, so this arch here, we're gonna have to turn off the gridding. So hold Control and put that one there, and now it's kind of as simple as just clicking. Okay, so if you see something, so this is kind of weird. This will help you when you're doing this. When you hold, when you have snapping turned off, it's lying to you. It says force snap to grid, so it won't snap to grid, but it still snaps. And I believe it snaps to about 1/8 of a block. I haven't tested it, but I think it will snap to exactly 8 different positions. And so it'll make like an 8x8 grid. Now, if you want to ignore that invisible grid that it's snapping to, you have to hold Shift. And then now it'll go exactly to where you want to do. So when you're drawing something that's like a curve like this, you actually want to hold Control, Shift, click, and drag. And now the dot will go exactly where you place it. So that you really want to do that to make sure that the dots go exactly where you want them for a curve like this. And then you can let go and do the last one, and it'll snap to a little square. So I turn the grid on. You have to click this to turn the grid on to do those easy snap to corner points. But when we're going to do something like a curve right here, you want to turn off the snap to grid. And then the thing that Foundry doesn't tell you is that when you turn off snap to grid, there is still a small snap to grid where it snaps to little points in between the grid. To make sure that you ignore those invisible snaps, you want to hold Shift. So that lets you then place it wherever, literally exactly pixel perfect to where you want it to go, is by holding Shift. What Control does is when you hold Control and click a point. Oh wait, sorry, let me pick up the point. You have to pick up the point, hold Control, and if as soon as you place it... Oh wait, it should have started drawing another one. Yeah, there you go. Holding Control makes another dot come out when you place one. So that's what Control does. So it lets you kind of like draw a bunch. Otherwise, you have to... Otherwise, if you don't do that, you have to manually place them one by one like this. And then, like, it's annoying. I'm not exactly sure why they did it this way, but this is the way I've learned how to do it, is Control is your friend to make long, continuous lines. I can actually select multiple to delete. Does that make sense, Nikanoru? Or if you have another question, that's what I'm here for. Okay, cool. No problem. So, we'll continue. We're going to finish... Oops. We're going to finish... I think we're going to finish this. We'll zoom out and see where we are when I finish that up. So let's zoom out. Where are we? Did I miss it? No, this is... this map has one continuous line going throughout the entirety of it, and then it's done. That's actually pretty neat. Sometimes there's like little middle floating areas you got to work on. All right, so those are normal walls. So that's what this tool is. There's a bunch more types of walls. And I'll go through some of them. I don't know if this map will let me use all of them, but there are doors. So this is a little annoying because the door looks like it doesn't exactly sit on the grid line. So we're going to go to the door tool. All a door is a special type of wall. It's not any different. We're going to turn off snap to grid. And we're going to trust the little 1/8 snapping point and click right. Oop, that's a little high. Is that the... Am I not going to be able to get this exactly where I want it? Okay, so, I don't like that. The only other choice would be this. Or we can try holding shift. See where that gets us. Okay, holding shift is what you want to do here. So if I hold shift and place it right here. There we go. Now I got it pretty much on top of the door. Perfect. Alright, we're going to use my little test token here to test this door out to show you how doors work in Foundry, because I love doors. There's our little guy. He's got... So now that we set up the vision, you can see that as he moves through... Oh, look at that lighting. Oh, look at that lighting, man. This is why I play Foundry, right here. This lighting is so good. And so, see how you can see the difference here for... This is dark. That means a player can't see that. So as you as a DM now know that you can see here because you're the DM. But when you click and see... Oh, actually, never mind. That's... So this is what the Fog of War does. So your player now sees, oh, okay, this is what I can see, but this I can't see. So any tokens in this area is going to be hidden from them until they move into a place where then they can see that. So... Let's zoom in and show you the doors. When your player comes across this corner, your player is going to see that door icon. So they can turn to the door, walk up to it, and then your player, and not you, you don't have to open doors for your players. Your players can open them. That it helps so much, because I've had my players stand in front of doors in Roll20 for like 10 minutes being like, I want to open this door. And I'm like, okay, I'll get to it. But your players can just open them. You gotta watch them and make sure that when they open that, if it triggers something, that you're on top of your stuff and it have that thing trigger. But that's what you can do. You can also, as a DM, lock the door. So now that door, the player who walks up to it, if they click it, and even as DM, oh there, it makes even a noise. They can't open that door. So you can have locked doors. Something else interesting about walls. All walls, every wall you make is basically the same thing. And here's how I prove that. You can double click it and you have all these little options to set. All these different tools are just different default sets of these options. So, this is a door. So it has the door. You can make it a secret door. So that would be, I believe this is the secret door. Yeah, this is the secret door option. So what this does is, okay, you know what? Let's do what I thought, or what I wanted to do here. Let's pretend there's a secret door right here that leads over to the other side of this map. So we're going to go over and we're going to build the door out so that it comes to about here. And then comes to about here. We're going to do the same thing. Then we're going to have it come across and down. Have it come across and then up. Okay. Now there's a secret, you have a secret little passage there. So what you want to do is you want to create secret doors. Now secret doors are doors for you, the GM. But your players... Now, for you, since you're the DM, you see it. But your players will not see that icon because it's a secret door. So what that lets you do then is, oh, if they roll the perception high enough, or if they search the wall, you can then open it for them. And I'd probably open both of these. And now, they can see through. Unfortunately, I didn't build this on the grid, so they're going to actually have to drag their token through. Maybe, and sometimes as a DM, you might have to just do that for them. But there. That's how you make a little secret door. What else is a very common door thing that we can do here? Oh, one of my other favorite doors is, let's say that this door into this room is like a slatted door, and the players can see through it. So what you can do is, this is invisible walls. So you want to start with drawing an invisible... This has the same problem as that other one, where it's just slightly off the grid. Alright, so we'll just draw it as straight as we can right there. Okay, so this is an invisible wall, which means it blocks movement, but it doesn't block sight. But guess what? You can make that a door. There's no option for these, but you can do it by moving to the select tool up here, selecting that wall piece, double-clicking it, see the is door question, make it a door, update the wall. So it's the color didn't change because it's still an invisible wall, but now it's an invisible wall that's also a door. And then you can like lock it. So let's say like this is like maybe like somebody has got a bunch of people locked in there, held against their will, and they want to get out. So your players, let's get our test dummy to explore this place a little bit, cross over, run down, turn this corner. Oh, look it. So as soon as he comes around the corner, he can see right into that room. But he can't get into that room. He can't get into the room. So it's a locked door. Now they can do, you can have your players make lock picking checks, and if they successfully pick the lock, you right click it, make it a normal door, now they can open it. That's a locked door. That's a secret door, or not a secret door, but basically like an invisible, not invisible door. It's like a prison door where you can see easily through the bars, but you can't get through it. What other type of door do I do? I think that's basically all the door types. You can have ethereal walls, which are... Actually, what are ethereal walls? Oh, ethereal walls are walls that block vision, but don't block movement. So, let's say... We got... There's nothing really I can do here for that. But let's just block off, like, this whole corner with an ethereal wall. So now this player can't see what's on the other side of that wall. This would actually maybe be something you could do for, like, a foggy area or something. Or maybe or just tell them, there's like, ooh, what about, like, it could be for Bloodborne-style fog... like door or fogways where they have to walk through the fog to get to the other side to see what's on the other side. So like you could have just like a big boss monster on the other side of that fog wall. That'd be kind of cool. You can make, here's something that's also interesting here. Let's go back to the wall tool. So movement restrictions. So wall direction. You can specify the direction of the wall. Now, it's hard to tell which is left or right. It depends on how you drew the wall. So you gotta kind of, like, experiment. So does that mean... Okay, so this means I can see through that way, but if I cross over, I can't see that way. You can also kind of set that up in a way where it's a one-way wall. So, like, I'm just using this Bloodborne example. Let's make it right only. It's not a door. Let's have it do normal movement restrictions. But it's only one way now. So your player cannot see that way, and they can't move that way. But if they were on this side of the wall, they can see that way, and then they can move that way, but they can't move back. I wonder if we can get a Bloodborne-style wall working. How would that work here? We gotta flip the wall direction. Wait, that's the wrong wall segment. Perception restriction. I wonder what limit it is. Oh, I remember what limit it is. Okay, that's a different thing. We're just playing around it right now. I'm doing stuff that I've never really tweaked with here. But there's a lot of cool little things you can tweak with. I don't think we can get a Bloodborne-style wall where it both blocks vision but lets you walk through it. You could maybe do it with two walls. You put two walls on top of each other. That might be the way to do it. One that blocks vision and the other one that blocks direction, but only in one direction. You could do it like that. Oh, now I want to make a Bloodborne-style dungeon where there's, like, foggy walls to walk through that your players have to walk through and they can't walk back once they walk through. You know what? I've had a problem, and so I'm gonna go on a little rant here. Here, we're gonna do this. So, in my games, in my Tomb of Annihilation game, my players have had this bad habit that I'm trying to figure out what to do about. And this might be the solution for it, and I might start doing this. But they have a bad habit where if they know there's a big baddie, yeah, murder them. Just, I'm trying, but the thing is they don't go in the room that I'm trying to murder them. That's the problem I'm trying to solve. So, what they'll do is one or two of them will go in the room, and everybody else will stay in the doorway. Like, just like, we're not going in. We're safe in the doorway. We're safe here. And it's frustrating sometimes because they just hide in the doorway and don't go in the room and actually, like, go into the fight. But putting a barrier that closes behind them, basically, like an invisible, like it's D&D, I can explain anything away. Like maybe the doorway has an invisible doorway where you can't see past it, but once you cross into it, you can't leave. And then it'll be like once you cross the threshold, you can participate in the boss fight. And I might have to actually start putting that into my games to break this bad habit of my players. Because, like, so for, let's just to use an example that just happened, is they fought that invisible beholder in a room. Two of the party members were in the room with the beholder. The rest of the party members were hiding in the hallway, poking their head in, doing a little spell or shoot, and then running back out in the hallway. Which was frustrating because it's like, I felt like the encounter wasn't designed to really handle that. Which is silly. It just felt, I would say it felt cheap, but the players are doing what they need to do to survive, so I understand. But I want to try to stop that from happening. But I guess I can't because I don't want to force my players to do stuff they want to do. But there was a fight. Well, it had this. It almost seemed like it had this. I could have easily hand-waved it for that specific fight because there was this big metal thing that attracts things with metal, but not everybody was wearing metal on them. So like, yeah, maybe that. But I think the idea of maybe Bloodborne style or Demon Souls style curtain fog doors before your boss fights, maybe that's something you could do in your games. Maybe that's something that could work. Maybe your players are okay with the your world working that way. So we'll go back to the map. But it's just something that might be interesting and something you could probably do with these walls and stuff. So that's how you do. That's a little mini section of a dungeon. Building a dungeon out is just doing this on a much larger scale. If you build a bigger dungeon, those are the three types of scenes that I most commonly build. I always have a world map. I have battle maps. I have dungeon maps. I rarely have town maps. Are the same as you treat them as how I built that world map out. You get it scaled right. You pick 2 points. You get the scale good, and you can move them around. So let's go back to the world map. I said once I had a token out, I would show you how I kind of do world maps. So we can take that token, that test guy. Oh god, he's gonna be huge. Look how big he is. Why are you so big? Because this map isn't that big. Okay, maybe that won't work here. I mean, I can make the token smaller. Like, if I go in the token options and I just bump this, like we're gonna have to go to like 0.2. But then the bounding box of the token's still huge. Wait a second. Let's go. Can we do like... Okay, that works. There you go. Okay. I guess you could do it that way. So now you gotta do it on your map. Yeah, and then just drag them. Goes a dragon spear. So you can measure it, do your how many days of travel, and move your token along the ways. I don't know why it expands a lot when I pick it up. It's a little annoying. I'll work on that. I might, so here, this is what we might do to fix that, because I don't like that scale. Let's, alright, how about, or let's round this to, okay, let's do 2650, what was this, 2650, alright, so let's double the size of the map, so 2650 times 2 is 5300, and then 3800 times 2, 7600. Okay. Now, since we doubled that, we want to double this, so 900 pixels is 48 miles. So if we save the changes now. Okay, so that just blew the map up. Okay, the map's much larger. Now if we put the dude on, does that make this the scale still ridiculous? I see. I know what the problem is. It's the grid size. Okay, I know how to fix this. So before it was 450, so that means the game is interpreting a token. If the token scale is 1 by 1, he's 450 by 450 pixels in size. That's the scale. So what we need to do is we need to shrink this down as best we can. So, and we want to round it. So instead of it being 450 pixels, let's divide that. We don't want to divide it by 10, so let's divide that by 5. What the heck? Alright, 450 divided by 5. So, yeah, so let's make it 90. And then let's have 48 divided by 5, which is going to be something weird, 9.6. Let's round it to 10. So, see, this is very... Boom, we're just going to change the scale. Now, the token should be correctly sized. Oh, that... See what I did there? Now he's a much better sized little dude on the map. Oh, he's cute. He's cute, he's running his little path towards Dragon Spear. Oh, he got into an encounter. Now we gotta go to the Crossroads Battle Map. And now we're gonna pull him out. And he's gonna be, there he is. There's the cute little guy down there. Now he's gonna fight. Okay, so that is actually, the token is a little small. Bump up the scale. There we go. That's another thing that this does that Roll20 should do tomorrow. And as a programmer, I don't understand why they don't do, because it would be so simple. Divorcing the actual size of the unit by the image's size. So what this does is, so it's 1 unit by 1 unit. So that's a medium-sized creature. He takes up a 5-foot square. But the image, like, you could scale the image separately. So let's say he's a halfling. Okay, that's smaller than a halfling. Actually, halflings I usually put at 0.7. So if we go back to the token settings. Yeah, let's bump it up to 0.7. That should be better. Yeah, now he's a halfling. He's still a medium creature. He still takes up 1 square, but now, but his image is much smaller, and it makes more sense. The way I usually do creatures like this, so that would be a medium creature. I do 1 by 1 and 0.5. Now for a tiny creature, I actually change this to 0.5, and I keep the scale. Well, it depends on the image I use. I might tweak this for the image, but I keep that at 1. But now if we update this, now see how he's smaller? But Foundry's smart. It'll let you, so you can move from square to square, because that's how they move. But then if you have multiples, you can fit technically 4 tiny creatures in 1 square, and it looks fine. So this is how I do tiny creatures. And then for a large creature, you just go 2 by 2. Hit update. Boom. Now he's a big boy. Now he's a big guy running around. And then for every size category you go up, so that's a large creature. There's a huge creature. There you go. That would be like your giants. Let's see what else. And you just keep bumping that up. All right, so you know what? Let's go into character. Well, is that? Yeah, that's everything I wanted to do with maps. What else? What's the next thing on my checklist? All right, we went actually. So I went through maps. We went through walls. So let's do lighting. Lighting is the most exciting thing for Foundry. This is what I really love doing and what I'll spend way too much time prepping in my dungeons. So let's go back to the dungeon sewers here. Oh, wait, why isn't he showing up? Why isn't it showing up in the navigation? There we go. Okay, let's go back to this map. All right, so let's drag our player over to here. Let's say this is the entrance over here. So if it's like a sewer entrance and they got to open up a sewer cap and climb down the ladder, likely there'll be light coming in from the outside world. So this is where the lights come in. So what I do is I take the light tool right here, pick light. What I do is I just drag a little light there because I don't care. I don't use this to drag. I do everything from this little light source configuration box. So you can do a global light, local light, and universal light. So universal lights will go through your walls. So if you wanted to, let's say, I'm not sure what you would use that for, and I've never used it. I use mostly local lights. And I don't know what the difference between local and global lights is. Just local lights are plenty fun. Coordinates you don't need to change because you can change the coordinates by just dragging it around. So what I always do is the radiuses. So you have dim light and bright light. So think of them as two separate radiuses. So for a torch example, like a torch, I believe... What does a torch burn at? I don't remember the torch rules. Torch... A T-orch, as I like to call them. So they burn light in a bright light and 20-foot radius and then an additional dim light for 20 feet. So in Foundry, what that means is the bright light would be 20 feet. But the dim light would go another 20 feet beyond that. But you can't just put 20 there. You have to actually do the bright light plus the dim light, which means 40. So there you go. So that would be like a torch light. Right there. So like if there's like a sconce with a torch hanging on the wall, you could start placing these lights around the map. But for this here, I kind of wanted to make it a small bright light. It's just a 10-10. You know what? Let's do even smaller than that. Let's do 5 and 10. There, perfect. Now this is light coming from above, from like the manhole cover. So let's take away this guy's dark vision. So we're gonna make him have no dark vision. So now he can only see what's in his square and whatever the light shows him. So now that part is lit up for this player. And actually, if I reset the, let's reset the fog here to kind of really show you what this does. So if this player came into this map for the first time, this is what he would see. And as he moves around, you notice that the light doesn't really, he can't see beyond this little veil of darkness. He can start to explore it like this, but he can't see beyond it. Because I take pity, I sometimes give sorry, my brain just had a weirdness there. I sometimes give them a little bit of vision around them, and this kind of simulates the fact that you can like reach out and touch things. So like you'd be able to tell like let's say there's darkness right here, you'd be able to walk and you'd be able to tell, oh wait, there's a wall right there, and then you wouldn't have to go on and stuff like that. And then you'd be able to also tell if there was a creature breathing down your neck in the square next to you. So I usually, it's up to you, that's a DM thing. You can tweak that, but you see how it's actually also, This is another Foundry feature. This is what the, what's that feature called? No, not title navigation. That's what the, this is what the fog exploration does, is it shows this, it keeps the map that they explored visible for them. So what you can do, if you don't like that, if you want it to be a little bit more claustrophobic, if you turn that off, your players will only ever be able to see what they can see and nothing more. That works more like how Roll20's lighting system works. So if you don't want to have that fog exploration turned on, just turn it off, and now it's exactly like Roll20, where they can only ever see what they currently can see. So that means, like, this guy's gonna wander through and be like, oh shit, I can't. Yeah, oh shit, like, walking through the darkness, can't see anything. You can only see, oh, there's a corner here. Turn around the corner. Like, this would be a very claustrophobic way to play Dungeons & Dragons. That's why he's gonna light a torch. Giving him 40 feet of dim, 20 feet of bright. Boom, now he's got a torch, you can see everything. He's gonna move with that. There you go, cool. Another cool thing you can do with lighting. I'm gonna make a light over here. Is you can do colored lights. It's my favorite. And then my other favorite thing is animated lights. There's all these different animation settings here, and I suggest you play with these and mess with them and tweak them and just have fun with it. My favorite thing to do, we were talking about fog before, and like a fogged... Oh, shoot. I've done this before. If you delete the light source before you... Ah, crap. I have to refresh the page. It's a little bug there. Don't delete the light source before you close the, window. One of my favorite things to do... Let's find a good place to put this fog. Maybe this room has some, like, a green glowy fog in this room. The way you do that is with a light source. So, in here, we're going to give it a nice sickly green. Let's find a sickly... nasty look. Ooh, that looks good. That looks good. Like, right. Ooh, right there. There we go. All right, so that's the light. That's the color. We're gonna bring down the intensity on that a bit, but we're gonna do swirling fog. Okay. Then we're gonna increase the size of this. How big is this room? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So what we're gonna do, actually, is we're gonna pull it back here. Oh. Damn it, I lost the settings. Alright, that's fine. Let's do this again. A little sickly green. Let's make it a little more green. There we go. Swirling fog. There we go. Then we're going to increase the size of it by 5, 10, 15. So, 0. Just going to do dim to 15. 20. Perfect. Alright. See that? Alright, that's animating all inside the room. A little fast and a little bit too green, in my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the color intensity down a little bit. Maybe even a little bit more. Okay, then we're going to increase the intensity of the animation. So now it's going to be... Yeah, there we go. Now it's... Then we're going to slow it down a bit, because fog doesn't move like that. Heck, we can go all the way down. There we go. There we go. I'm going to tweak with the color here a bit. We're going to actually yeah, we're going to lighten it up just a little, like that. Maybe make it a little greener, too. Oh, yeah, right there. Now we can lower... There. Wait. Yeah, okay, there we go. Boom. So now when your player opens up that door, this room has a sickly, pale glow to it with fog floating in. You know what? That's not as prominent as I thought it would be. Let's maybe up the intensity. Up the intensity and up the speed of it. There we go. That might be a little bit more dramatic. So if we close this door right here, and then I just want to see what the... Boom, there you go. Now your players see this room and see this fog swirling inside of it. And now they're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't immediately just step into this room? What's going on in this room? So the unfortunate thing is, and I haven't been able to figure this out, is you have to have it at least dim light. Otherwise, the animation doesn't really show. So that means the room is going to be, no matter what, dimly lit. You can't have an animation going in a dark room. So, it is what it is. It always looks cool to me. But that's how I would do, like a fog effect. Oh, let's say you don't want it to be this sickly green fog. Just go... let's go down here. Let's just make it a gray fog. Yeah, like do that. Maybe up the... No, that's a little too intense. Well, you just play with the sliders until it looks right for you, for what you're going for. There you go. Oh, there's just like a swirling fog inside of just a white fog. You can do lots of cool stuff. Let's say, instead of a fog... Ghostly light is actually one of the... Ghostly light's a good one to do, too. This kind of gives, like, a spooky... It's kind of like fog, but, like, this would be more like a crazy, like, light. Let's change the color to, like a blue. Increase the intensity, kind of so you can see what the animation is. This would be like this would be good for like a room that has a bunch of ghosts in it. That's supposed to be like a dream state or something, and you can have this eerie glow and fog to the room. That's another good one. That's bonkers, but you could do something like this. Maybe not have it 20 feet, maybe only have it like 5 feet. There you go. So, like, you could put that over something. Maybe this is, like, got a protection, like some magic protecting something. See how that looks? Like a little orb or a dome inside there. That's also what this hexadome looks like. This looks like something out of sci-fi. I think if I decrease the animation intensity, just increases the size. I actually use this in a dungeon I'm working on, but this is like a force field or something, or some sort of magical object or shield. Like, there's all these cool things that you can work on. Pulsing wave, something giving off like a pulsing aura. Sunburst, this one's cool. It's like giving off a magical shiny array or blinding light. Chroma just changes. It's RGB, crazy gamer stuff. Pulse is the slow pulsing light. You want to increase the intensity for that to, I believe, show the difference. Let's do the speed. Yeah, there we go. Now it's meow, meow, meow. What else? There's a lot of stuff. I don't know what these darkness is. This rolling mass darkness and roiling and black hole darkness. I want to maybe figure out what these do, because they don't seem to really do anything from here. This is a roiling mass. I don't know. Darkness threshold usually doesn't... Yeah. I don't know what darkness does. So, those would be some I should maybe play with. But that's all the light source stuff. Place them all over your map. I have a map that probably has 50, 60 light sources on it. I believe you could probably crash your game by putting too many light sources at some point. I haven't reached that point yet, so yeah, light sources are really fun and a lot of fun to play with in your games. All right, what's my next thing on my list? All right. Oh, creating a monster. All right, so you have your compendium, and there are already a bunch of creatures at your disposal right here, built into the game. Okay, so you can just drag these in, and they're all the SRD creatures. So all the creatures that are in the free version of Dungeons and Dragons. So that's not every creature in the monster manual, just the ones that are free in the SRD. Also, I'd like to point out that I believe these tokens, I'm not sure where these tokens are from. They look like the Forgotten Adventures tokens. Are they like doing the official tokens for Foundry? I'm not sure. But I guess there's already tokens. So I use these style tokens. I don't use the round style tokens anymore. I will if I'm doing like a quick thing and I don't want to mess too much, because these types of tokens take a little bit more work to prepare, and there's not always, it's really hard to find characters. The players like making very unique characters, so sometimes you can't really find a token like this that matches. All of my players in my campaign created custom tokens for themselves. Either one of the players is a graphic designer and helped them, and then another of my players is really good in Photoshop, so they just did it themselves. So let's create a monster. So they call them actors in this. So for actors, you have 3 types. You have player, non-player, and vehicle. So the way the vehicle character sheet works is it looks just like the ones in I believe it's called, I think they had them in Saltmarsh was the first time they started using those stat blocks. I rarely do this. I did it for that Mechanome one shot I just ran. I made the Mechanome a vehicle because that's how the stat sheet was worked out. But for a creature or a monster, you want a non-player character. Oh, I didn't put a name in there. Oh, what kind of monster should we make? You know what? We should do one of the monsters that I worked on my stream last week. That's what we're gonna do. So if I go over to my stuff, go to my Viking, I go to monsters. Let's just make something simple, the Treeling. There we go, there's the Treeling stat block. So we will do a Treeling. And it'll be an NPC. Alright, there you go. So, Treeling. What do we got? It's a small creature. So we're going to change that to small. It's a plant. Type. Plant. Source. Me. Alignment. What is the alignment here? We have chaotic neutral as the alignment. Cool. Alright, armor class. Where's my alt tab working right? Alright, so he's 11 armor class, 5 hit points each, with a movement of 25 feet of movement. Stats, we got 12 strength, 10 dex, 14 con, 10, 8, 8. And then we got some vulnerability. So we have a vulnerability. So damage vulnerability. Oh, click that little checkbox. And we got a fire. Pop that in there. We have poison resistance. So we're going to go to damage resistance, poison, update. Then the immunity is radiant. So we have immunity to radiant. Then speaks Terran as a language. There's languages. Get down to Terran. Senses. We have Dark Vision 60 and Passive Perception 9. You don't have to put the Passive Perception, but it does do. You want to put the Dark Vision 60. Update. Challenge rating. 8. Now the actions. So that's all straightforward. If you wanted to make him proficient, if it needs to be proficient in any of these abilities, you just click the checkbox. It'll add the proficiency modifier. Oh yeah, it lets you do proficiency, half proficiency, expertise. You can do that. I don't know how many monsters have expertise, but so for attacks, you want to go into features here. So this is a claw attack. Now there is a compendium of monster features right here, I believe. So you can type, if I want to put claw in, there might already be a claw attack. And there, if I can use my keyboard properly. So there's the claw attack. You can just drag that onto your monster. There's the claw attack. Now for some reason this is a legendary action. I don't know why. So we're going to go in here. Oh, the creature makes one claw attack. What is this? Is that not the... Huh. Alright, I guess we're going to build it from scratch. That's probably better for you guys to do anyway. So we're going to go under attacks. Click add. So it says new weapon. We're going to put this as a claw attack. You could go ahead, and what I would do is I would write this spot. I'm going to put that on my other screen just so I can see it easier, so I can type it. And I would just type that out right here in the description. So it says, so italics, melee, weapon, attack, colon, go to the attack, +3 to hit, reach 5, what is this? I don't know how to type right now. Reach 5 feet, 1 target, hit is 3 parentheses 1d4 space plus space 1 slashing damage, period. Done. Alright, that just puts the description in there for you to read, so you can read it real quick. But that doesn't make Foundry work correctly. That you have to go into details for. So weapon type, simple melee. Attunement not needed. Proficient, equipped, identified. Just leave that. Weapon properties, don't really need to do anything. So activation cost, 1 action. Okay. Activated condition, doesn't have one. Target, I believe... You type in 1... is it creature or 1 target? Is target a word? One enemy. That's fine. Range, 5 feet. Duration, no limited uses, no resource. None of this stuff. Now, action type. So it's a melee weapon attack. Ability modifier. So we're going to do strength. The attack roll bonus doesn't have one. Damage formula. That's what we want to put in. So, the damage formula, it's just 1d4. 1d4. And then we're going to put, I believe I put slashing. No versatile, no, it's very simple, no saving throw. Apparently you can put some chat flavor in there. I'm not sure. I've never done that. Don't care to. Source, me. Rarity, that doesn't matter because this isn't even like a weapon you can like pick up or anything. Done. There's no effects, no descriptions. Done. So, claw attack. Let's test it out. Hit roll. So, weapon. So, here's the description. This is why you want to put the description in so you can see this. You want to click attack. Normal roll. So, 1d20 plus 1 plus 2. So, it's plus its strength modifier plus its proficiency. Rolled an 8. Perfect. Works great. Now, the cool thing you can do with attacks. If you notice that last one had an icon. So if you go and if you click that, it'll open this window. If you go into Systems, D&D 5e, Icons, Skills, it'll show you a bunch of stuff. Click this preview, and here's all a bunch of icons for you to choose from for your attack. So slash attack, that claw attack, that looks like a good claw attack. You can use that one too. It doesn't matter. Whatever you like. I like that one. Boom. Now you got a little icon there. Now that little icon shows up there, and I believe also when you make the attack, and now the claw shows up there. It's just a cute little icon that shows for the attack. You can choose that to be whatever you want. And there's those folders. You can also import your own. I'm sure. Thanks, Strapped. Thanks for coming and checking out. Hey, wait, Strapped. I gotta show off in front of my friend, my other streamer buddy here. But ready? We're gonna whoosh. Yeah. Yeah. Do you like the transition? Let's go back. There you go. We'll transition back to my game screen. But yeah, my setup's been working on it. And also got the lighting going on. Lighting looks good. I gotta do some more work on the decorations. I'm working on it. Work in progress. I know, I do need to get a stream deck. I know. They're a little like the Elgato. Wait, stream deck? What do you mean stream deck? Well, anyway. So, the, yeah, thanks for, yeah, the Elgato. Yeah, I do want the, I was almost gonna just buy the little one, the little, I think it's 4x4 or 4x2 one, but I think I'm gonna get the medium-sized one. I'm gonna wait. Yeah. Because I gotta do those I wanna hotkey it up, make it easier. Oh, I got another little trick that okay, I'm gonna show you one more streaming trick I got that I've been working on. Just give me a second. I gotta load it up on my phone. So if I do this, come on. Okay. Then I'm gonna we're gonna go mobile. Ready? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got it coming right out of my phone. So, Yoshi! Yeah. So that's, I bought those, they're, what are those called? The amiibos? Yeah, they're amiibos. I bought them for, me and my wife. So, they're cute. Let's go back to my... But yeah, like I've got all this stuff kind of like going on, things I want to like mess with. Thank you. Hey Strep, are you following me? Just checking. Just checking, are you? Alright, cool. Mostly I wanted you to click the button so you could see my animation, but I gotta actually earn that, I suppose. Alright, so we'll go back to this. So for the Treeling, I don't really have an image for this monster, and I don't have a token for it yet. So we're just gonna leave it as is. You know what? Let's try to find one. So if I go to my assets library and I go to tokens, and go here, and let's just search inside my resource folder for a tree. There you go. Yeah, that sound effect's nice and loud. I love it. Alright, so what do we got here? Oh, we got these, like, demon tree things. We could just use one of these for now as a... So let's just grab this demon tree. Let's make it the image. Import it. Uh-oh, where'd the... Alright, I'm gonna assume it's selected properly. There we go, there's the little treeling. Now for the token, so you put the image there. You got the image. That's just the image for what it shows up over here. Like that's just going to show up here. That's not the token. You want to go in here and you actually have to set the token separately. So, oh no, actually, yeah, actually it selected it. Okay, I guess if you set it there, it'll set it there automatically. You want to make sure all these settings are correct. This is a small creature. We're going to knock it down to a 0.7. And vision, he's got dark vision. So I put it here, but he doesn't, I don't checkbox vision for creatures. Because there's a weird thing for NPCs, is NPCs actually, if you're using the fog setting, remember we were talking about this, it's not called fog, what is it called? The, yeah, fog exploration. If you have this checkboxed, and you have an NPC that has vision, the NPCs reveal the map for the players. So, Foundry right now, and I don't know if they're ever going to change this, but Foundry right now only ever has one state for the revealed map. So any token on the map reveals any location on the map, it'll reveal it for every other token on the map. So it's not instantiated for each player, and it's not instantiated for each token. So that means if you're using fog exploration, you need to turn off vision for your NPCs. Otherwise, you're basically going to be revealing sections of the map wherever that NPC is. So, when you're making creatures, make sure that's unchecked. And unfortunately, when you drag in a creature from the... let's just drag in, I don't know, a monkey here. When you drag in a creature from the compendium, so I just dragged this guy out from the compendium, they have... Oh, they have it turned off by default. Okay, so that's... I've had this checked by default for creatures that I pull in from the compendium, so maybe that just depends on the creature. Maybe they fixed it. I believe there's also a default configuration settings where you can set the token vision. So, ooh, actually, you know what? I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to turn off token drag vision. I didn't realize that was a thing you could turn off. But yeah, there's a setting somewhere, I believe, that lets you set the default for the token vision. But I don't know where that is. Oh, maybe it's under configure. No, it's not permissions. System settings. Oh, yeah, I don't know where that is. But keep that, make sure that's off. Now for resources, the way I run my games, this is completely up to you guys in Foundry. But I like showing health bars for my... Well, for enemies, I don't show health bars. So, but I do like to see it myself. So I put attribute HP. So here it is. Boom, 5 out of 5 HP. And I put always for owner. So since I'm the GM, I'm technically the owner for all tokens on the map. So if you set it to always for owner... for you as a GM, and if it's an NPC, you will always see the bar. So I always have that set for things like for creatures that I pull. Now for names, again, I do hover by owner and hit update. So that means now if I have a treeling on the map, it shows his health bar, and then if I need to know its name, I can hover over it and it'll show treeling. That's what I do. Now for a player, the settings I set for players are I do hover by anyone. So that means anybody who can hover over a token and see the name. And I do this for friendly NPCs and players. So that means if a player is role-playing and maybe they're role-playing for the first time with somebody and they don't remember what their character's name is, they can just take their mouse and hover over it and see the name of the person. The other thing I do, and this is up to you guys again, but for HP bars, I put always for everyone for HP. So this will not show the health values. It'll just show the bar. and there's no way for the other players to see exactly how much HP is, and I'm okay with that. But I do have I do tell my players when a creature's bloodied, and I used to use, you can put that icon. I was using this icon for a while. There was a module I downloaded that does it automatically. It displays when a creature is bloodied. It puts the little bloodied icon on it when it hits half health, because that's the only indication I tell my players. And if you don't know what the bloodied state is when it's below 50% HP. So when it's below 50% HP, it's bloodied. If my players ever ask, like, how close is he to death, I will only ever tell him whether he is... I'll tell him 3 states. He's unhurt, which means he has full HP. He's hurt, but he's not bloodied. So that means he's taken damage, but he's not... so he's not at full health, but he's also not at 50% left. And then I'll tell them they're at 50%. Sometimes I do give a little clue. Like, if he hits him and there's like 2 HP left, I'll tell him, like... I'll say, like, he's on death's door or something. Sometimes. Not all the time. If it's a larger creature that I want them to kind of, like, feel like it's a slog, I'll do that. So the other thing you gotta worry about is when you drag a token on a map, like we got this guy here, and this is a good example because if you notice he had a torch on, when I dragged him back out he doesn't have the torch. If you make any changes to this token here on the map, that will get saved to this specific instance of the token. If that token is ever deleted and you drag out a new one, it won't have those settings or changes you make. Any changes you make to the default token, you have to open up the sheet from the journal over here, or from the actor directory, and you have to go into the it'll say prototype token here, and this, you have to change these settings, and then when you save this, whenever you drag out a new token, it'll have those settings applied to that token. But now if I made any settings, see now it just says token. Now I'm just changing this specific token. What you can do is, if, let's say you have a token on the map and you want to save it as is, you can open up the prototype token. See how I have that token selected? I can click assign token. So here, let's do an example here. So let's say, oh, you've got dark vision. I forgot to add dark vision to your character sheet. So let's go ahead, or you have a torch. Let's add 40/20 for a torch. Boom. Now you got a torch going. Oh, but I'm going to save that. So now I can save this, assign token, close, delete. Now if I pull him out, he's going to have a torch every time I pull him out. So that's what you can do for tokens. You can do the same things for all. Tokens work the same for NPCs and players. They're the exact same thing. There's some settings here. You can change you have to change the token name here. It'll always default to whatever the creature is, but let's say I change this to Treelingading. So now he's a Treelingading here, but if I pull him out, the token still says Treeling. So if you ever make a change later, you actually have to go in here and you got to make that change here. So now he's a Treelingading. Now he's a Treelingading. That was token. So that's tokens. They're pretty fast, pretty much straightforward. I showed you the different sizes. You can change them, and then the scale. The mirroring is funky. Sometimes the mirroring doesn't work. Oh, and I have done this. So let's say you have this tint color is awesome, because let's say I want to make a special type of Tringaling. Let's make him green, and he's like a different type of... There, dude. Done. Now I made him green. Now he's got like a greenish hue to him, and he looks slightly different than a normal one. Like, you can like make special ones with just by tinting it a different color and changing its stats. Like, that's a real easy way to make a stronger version of a creature. You can do the same thing, like, when you can just go ahead and be like, this one's it's big and green. There. The king of the Treelingadings. King of the Treelingadings. Treelingading. Cool. Tokens. Alright, we're gonna do handouts real quick. Handouts are Handouts are anything that's not a player that you want to be able to give to your players. But not items though, because items are separate. So there's items, and then there's handouts or journals. They call them journal entries. So we can create a journal entry. So like, I don't know, like let's make it a, well, so for handouts, so I'm just trying to think of a good handout I can use. Let's go to Curse of Strahd. I had a bunch of cool handouts, I think, for there. No, those magic items. Alright, we'll do one for Tomb of Annihilation, I think. Alright, yeah, let's do one for Tomb of Annihilation. So, for handouts, they are great to show art and for like character art. So let's just do like, yeah, let's do one for, what's his name? Joe Ball. So we're gonna create a Joe Ball entry. So what's great is you can have a text version. You can also switch it to image. So for image, you just go and you upload the image just like you upload any images. I make different folders. So, oh, or we could just do this. Oh no, we'll do what I said. We'll create one for Joe Ball here. If I type in Joe Ball, we should get, yeah, go. So we're gonna pull in Joe Ball's image here, hit select. I think you have to give it a sec. There you go. There's Joe Ball. Done. Now you have a journal entry that's just his face. Now this is really useful if you want to be able to show your players what a character looks like. You can have all their character art loaded up in here. Pretty simple. You can do this for, you can also put in, instead of that, another way you could do it is if, let's say you wanted to have some text. So this is Joe Ball. You met him in, or let's just say he lives in Gold, sells canoes. I don't even remember what Joe Ball actually does, but that's not how you spell canoes. So this is Joe Ball, he sells canoes. And you could do something, you can actually add the image. Oh, this is cool. So you go over to image here. This is the URL for the image. You can copy that there. And you can actually add it here. And I always set the width to 800. And hit save. Now you have a image with some text. Hit save. There you go. So now you can have a journal that has not only just some image, you can also have it with some text. Maybe you would change the size of this. Maybe like 500. Maybe that was a good. There we go. Save. So you can do things like that and hand them out to your players. I love making handouts for my players. If you notice, I had a bunch imported of art from older, because a lot of the older adventures in Dungeons and Dragons came with a ton of different little arts, and making a handout for each of those and handing them to your players is great. So another neat thing that I will show you here is you can actually put these on your map. So down at the bottom here, this is, what do they call this one? The journal notes. So Joe Ball, we'll drag him on there. It makes a little icon. Goes to Joe Ball, there's the, you can change the icon. So let's change it to, I think there's one for a person. These are just different icons. Paw print, no, ruins, temple, guards, skulls, statue, sword, village. Let's make it a village icon. So what's cool is if your players, they actually have to switch to the journal view to see this. But if they do, if you tell them to switch to that, they can actually open these up themselves and read them. So you can actually litter your map with these little things and have your players be able to discover them. Unfortunately, they have to see it. They have to switch to this view to see it. I don't think you can set it so that they see it by default. I really kind of wish that, or hope that they could. Oh, you can change the tint of it. Is it red? Let's make it red. That didn't really do anything. Did it not save? Oh, it's because I didn't... There we go. Oh, that's cool. You can change the colors of them. Didn't know you could do that. That might have been new. Hey, you can change the font. You can change the font size. I think that's too big. I tend to run it, I think, half that. So I think I put it down to 24. Yeah, 24 is a good size. You can place these all over the map, and they can click them, and it's like, oh, there's Joe Ball. That's what he looks like. So what I'm going to do in the future is, what you could do is you can create, like, you could create menus in, like, a shop. So when your players are exploring a town map, they could just double-click that icon, and it could pop up a little shop that has a list of items and their prices. So you don't have to do, like, you don't have to do crazy negotiations, or you don't have to sit there and read out a list of items, and then people are like, oh, what does he have? And you have to read it out again. You can actually create little shops for them to go in. So, yeah. I love Foundry. So, I think that's all we're going to do for tonight. I was going to get off around here. We're going to go... I got a whole bunch of lists of items, things left to do. We can do some more about... Actually, basically, I have items left to create. Show you how to create items. And I have a bunch of modules I want to show off. Foundry lets you... So, Roll20 kind of did this with scripts. You could create scripts, and you can import scripts that add functionality to Roll20. It worked, kind of, sometimes, and the scripts were... But then you had to pay for it extra to get it to work, and it was kind of a pain in the butt. And they were kind of more like text commands that you could run. They didn't, like, let you change the UI or change, like, how things worked in Roll20. They were very limited. Foundry has these things called modules, and they're basically mods for the... Like, it would be like a mod for a game that you're playing. And it can completely change everything. It can change how the whole interface looks. It can change where all the buttons are. But that's not the ones I like to use, but they can do that. The ones I'm going to go over, we're going to probably go over these next week, but I use these top 4 I use. It's called Dice So Nice. It's a wonderful, if you watch my stream, whenever anybody rolls, you'll see a nice fancy 3-dimensional dice roll across the screen. It makes a cool rolling sound, and it just simulates the whole rolling a dice half an aspect of Foundry. And it's so good. And they're making updates all the time to it. Then there's one called Vehicles and Mechanisms. It's a very technical add-on that lets you do some very powerful things. What I used it for is there was a couple of traps in Tomb of Annihilation that required sections of the map to rotate. And they haven't gotten to that yet. They did get to one trap that had a rotation section. If you go back and watch, it was a couple weeks ago. It's on I have it backed up on YouTube, but there was a section where I believe smoke runs in, triggers it, the whole section of the map rotates, traps him, and then the players couldn't see where he was. And it's really cool that it can rotate. There's another section where there's 3 rooms that rotate, but they all rotate they're cogs, and they rotate based on how cogs work. And that took some effort, but I was able to make that work where I could rotate all 3 of the rooms, because basically the players are going to be able to press a button and rotate those rooms, and they're going to have to figure out the orientation and how they want the rooms orientated to get through that floor. So it does other things. You can build the main focus of that. Those are some very complicated ways to do it. The main reason it lets you do is it lets you create kind of complex objects with layers and then group them all as a single object. And then if your players go into this object, if you drag the object, it drags the players along with it. So you could do things like stagecoach drives and things like that. Another one is there's an item containers module. that basically lets you create items that contain other items. So this would be the obvious thing, is I got it for Bag of Holding. So you can create an actual functioning Bag of Holding in Foundry where players can drag items into the Bag of Holding. You can set a weight limit so that they can only put a certain amount of items in there, and it'll say if they're overweight. Then the last thing is there's one called Loot Sheet NPC 5th Edition. That's a module that lets me create creatures. Well, it lets me create tokens that have like loot sheets inside them with how much money they carry and what kind of items. I've been using them for treasure chests, so that when a player discovers a treasure chest, and instead of me sitting here reading and describing to them what they find, I pop an icon on the map for them. They can just double click it and look through it themselves. I don't have to do anything. It makes distributing loot to my players so much easier. There's a couple other add-ons I use. If I go to my add-on list, maybe I can. There's a cool, this calendar one is really neat. This time, actually, yeah, this. Wait, do I use about? Oh, about time. I think you need to run calendar. The conditions one. This is the one that automatically puts them at bloodied when they hit 50%. That one's neat. There's one here that I should add to my list. Okay, so Parallaxy is one that I'm going to add to my list that I want to explain. Parallaxy lets you create maps where things are moving. So you can create like chase sequences where the road just keeps moving. And so like you're on horses, your characters are on a chase and they're fighting, and it makes it really cool. You can also use Parallaxy to do like a train where they're like on a train with tracks and they're going through that's the one I've seen the most is the train one. Airship is another one you could do, is if they're flying in an airship, you can make the ground or the ground underneath them fly past and make clouds fly past. What else we got here? Parallax. Yeah, there was one other one I wanted to talk about. Something rolling. Is it here? Huh. Oh, better rolls for 5e. That's another one I want to do. So if you notice over here, let's open up the tree-ling, and if we make a claw attack, so see how it sends it to the chat here and it shows all this stuff, and then it's like, oh, I have to click attack. Then you gotta click, oh, okay, well now I gotta click normal. Oh, and then it shows, it's kind of, it's a little clunky the way that it does this stuff. Better rolling makes all this happen in a much smaller box and much quicker and automatically. So it doesn't, like, when you click this, it doesn't, when clicking this should be the action to make it roll. I shouldn't have to click this, then click this, then click this, now I roll. Like, oh, nat 20! And then it should roll damage automatically. Why do I have to click again for damage? Like, better rolls fixes all that. That's all I have to say about better rolls. Just install it. It works. It just cleans all that up. How do you install mods? So I don't know how to do it if you don't use Forge. And actually, for security reasons, I can't show you the Forge. Let me see. Hold on. Let me hide my screen real quick. Let's see if I can do it securely, so I'm not gonna show anything I don't want to show. So if I go to game... Alright. Okay, I should be able to show this. Okay. So here's my desktop for Forge. There's nothing here that I think anybody can use to do anything. So for installing modules, there's a box up here called Install Systems and Modules. So you want to click that. It'll take you to an area where there's a bunch of mods. So, for example, here we have the Dice So Nice mod, which is the #1 most popular mod on Forge. It's as easy as, well, I have to update it, so I'm just going to update it now. But it's as easy as clicking it, and it gets installed. Once you install it, here, I gotta hide my screen again. Hold on. Once you install the mod through that screen, you go into your game. Sorry, just loading. Just loading. Cool. Go back. All right. So once you install the mod, then you go over here and go to Manage Modules, and it'll show up in this list. And then you actually have to checkbox it and click Save Module Settings. So you don't always have every mod loaded. You only want to load the ones you have. So once you install them, you don't have to use them. So sometimes it might be just worth being like, well, I want to try this mod out later. Just go ahead and install it. It won't affect any of the games you're running. You can play around with it in your free time elsewhere. So I think we're gonna close up shop here. I think I got a lot of content. I hope I helped you, Nikanoru, if you're still there. Yeah, there you are. If you have any questions, just yeah, hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Discord, hit me up wherever. I'll answer any questions you need. I'm a huge fan of Foundry. I'm going to be using it going forward, probably for a while, unless somebody comes out with another groundbreaking virtual tabletop. But I don't see myself using anything else, because they're going to keep updating it, and then people are going to keep creating modules for it. I think it's just going to keep getting popular. So, yeah. Thanks for stopping by. Catch you next time. I stream Saturday. I'm going to play some Baldur's Gate, the original video game. And then next Tuesday is my next game to catch. So, see you guys then. Bye.